Hello, fellow builders, and welcome back to the Mediocre Bench. I'm your mediocre modeler, and I make mediocre stuff. We are on part 4 of the Alphabet Squad secret base build, and well, it's been a week. Had to go out of town and do some stuff, so I really, again, didn't get as much stuff as I wanted to get done, accomplished. But I'll let you be the judge of that. When we were finishing up on the last one, we had the top deck that needed to be glued down. We're going to use epoxy, so you know what that means. Okay, you know the rules. Stinky or dirty, we're doing it in the garage. So, we've got this epoxy. Actually, just in case. Okay. Because no matter how careful you are, somehow you always get some epoxy on you. So, there we go. Another thing, I don't care what anybody tells you about epoxy. It stinks. It always stinks. It has always stunk. It's always going to stink. Yep, there it is. Well, that would be... Try that. There you go. Excuse me. I'm gonna go on ahead and use the whole tube. There's no point in not. So I bought a bag of these chip brushes, and when I did the other project with the leather, I didn't throw away the brush, so I just snapped off the bristles, and I'm using it to stir my epoxy with. This is 5-minute epoxy. So we're on the clock. Alright. Ah, see? Alright. So now we're going to place our deck. now we wait. It just gets everywhere. Just for a little bit of insurance. Put a couple of clamps on here. Okie dokie. And now we wait. I do believe we're good. Uh-oh. Fear not, fellow builders. All it was is one of these little square caps that cover up one of the model mounting holes that fell onto the floor. We found it. Not a big deal. But before we move on, let's talk about Facebook and the 3D Printers Ready Room. If you find yourself on Facebook, why don't you consider popping on over to the 3D Printers Ready Room. It's a small group right now, and it's not a competition. It's just we're all kind of sharing the stuff that we're working on, and we can ask each other for help. We have a couple of new members. Tyler here's just been on a couple of days, and he posted this beautiful Spider-Man he's working on. This is the Starbase that I'm working on right now. Spent the weekend getting these pieces printed so that we can start working on the walls. And I got an upright and a side piece done. We got, yeah, look, thermal detonator, Michael Thomas. I've made some of those for my Mandalorian. Those are really nice. Worked on the Quills, vent detail. Justin with his clone trooper helmet. We need to get checked back in with him and see where he came along, how he's come along with that. And I'm not sure what that is. Huh. I'll have to get back and find out what that is. A hinge piece or something. And then my helmet. And then the first kitty, the first print. And Lou's got this going on. We need to check back in with Lou and see how this helmet's coming. We also have, of course, the Stormbreaker go on. G.I. Joe Justin back again with the G.I. Joe helicopter. Skyhawk. He also did Beskar ingot. And then we had, Justin also did, yep, the G.I. Joe Cobra Commander pistol. Did we miss it? Let's see here. There you go. There you go. Just a little taste of what we're doing there on the 3D Printers Ready Room. just kind of sharing our builds, and if we have a failure, we share that too, to kind of give each other encouragement. So pop on over to Facebook if you're on there, and get request a membership and share what you're working on, or just come by and see what's going on. So like I said, we got our couple of uprights going. I gotta go out of town, so I want to get a couple more pieces going on here while I'm out of town. So by the time I get back, they'll be good and cured. I need clamps. Stand by. I got these clamps at Menards, a bag of them for like a dozen of them for like $10. Goodbye. Goodbye. So I want to make sure that I'm as square as I can be and giving myself as much room when it comes to building the model, because that's all the space I'm going to have right there. So I want to get a couple of pieces on the back there. And I'm actually still working on, so I'm doing backside side, backside side, and I haven't printed this middle section. It's designed, but I haven't gotten it printed yet because I was waiting to see my dimensions. I wanted to see where I was going to be. I wasn't sure how wide it was going to be, so I have the base. Oh, come on. All right, let's do this one first. Let's clamp you. Whoop. Come on. That'll work. All right. CA glue. Blessing and curse. It's great. It's on there. It's pretty good right now. I'm going to keep that corner clamped, but you hit it with the accelerator and it's good. It cures really quick. But that just means you can make a mistake just as quickly. So just be aware. Just be aware. This one, let's flip you over. Here's where I struggle a little bit. Oh. In this particular model, I struggle because when I scratch build things, they always tend to be squares. Fortunately for me on this model, it works to my advantage because the Empire, it's squares and angles. Not a whole lot of swoopiness. But when it comes to designing things in Fusion 360, I have the same problem with Fusion 360 as I have when I was scratch building just using styrene. It's just easier to make squares and angles that you're comfortable with. So that's something I need to work on. Come on. Alright. I still haven't designed the roof here. I'm not sure if I'm going to need light. Okay, so the other two pieces are going to go in. The center section where I'm going to put the door, these two side pieces do not come across and meet all the way. Okay. Yes. So, that's going to be a challenge. Because I'm sure right here, this is 60 millimeters. But back here, is bigger than that. Well, what I may end up doing then is cutting this back. Okay, so I changed this, flipped it around so you could actually see head on what we're dealing with. What we have here is your standard Imperial base. Okay, here was the problem. So we had side, back, back, side, back, back, which leaves our gap, okay? The gap here is smaller than the gap here. So my plan was to print a piece that would come up here, come this way, and then wherever this, the width of this met this, I just take my X-Acto, cut it off, and slide it in. Easy peasy, right? Okay. Here's where the problem. what I did was I went into Fusion 360 and I captured this piece right here, right? Just that portion of it so the channel would match. And I went to the back part of it, the back face, and extruded it back. And then I was going to have another piece where I extruded it down, right? And that's what this was, okay? And it fits right in there. A little bit snug, but it does fit. But I did it wrong. Because it's too short. Put it in. Okay, so what the problem is, this piece, top piece, is correct from here to here. This bottom piece is correct from here to here. So what I should have done, instead of putting this piece on top of this piece, I should have put this piece in front of this piece. Then it would be perfect. So I went back into Fusion 360 and I got the pieces moved around and I started the printing, and it's a 7-hour print. And I'm like, my goodness, and then I thought, why am I wasting this? Why am I doing all this extra work? So instead, I'm going to go on ahead and continue to use this piece. I'm going to glue that one in, right where it needs to be. And instead, I measured that portion right there, and I made that. That's going to fill in the gap, right? So what that does for us, this does still give us, it's going to give us some structural rigidity between the front and the back, because I was going to have some kind of struts. I'm still probably going to have a strut go here and here. I'm going to glue those to the front of that. Yeah. All right. And that's a little bit wide. We're going to have to fiddle with it a little bit. And then this is going to go in here. And what I did was there's an alignment peg in there, and it's this piece goes all the way through. So what I did was I cut a piece of styrene rod to the length of this face back into there. So I slide it in there like that, right? Slide it in there like that. Yes. Alright. Then I can pull it forward into this piece here. Pull it forward. Okay. Let's try that the other way. Huh. Ah! I'm trying to get that. I'm trying to have, so I've got a little bit on either end. Now, I know what I need to do. My peg was in the wrong spot. Put it in the middle. Alright. Yeah. Slide it back. Go to one end. There, align it, and should be able to slide it forward. Ah, too much. There. Yes. I'm good to go. I'm good. So now all I have to do is glue these orientations. That's straight. I know it's straight. That's going to be good. That's what I need to do. Alright. So obviously I need another pair of hands. Okay. So this is where we are. Gonna get this all glued in. We will have, these are gonna have, I haven't decided what we're gonna do with, what I'm gonna do with these. I might just go on ahead and put a styrene panel there like this. Alright? And that's totally fine. And then I could possibly get some kind of plate, greebly, something to put on there like that. Grid pattern. I don't know. They're just the possibilities are endless. Or I could just leave it plain, because what's going to be important is not going to be this back wall. What's going to be important is the models sitting on this front piece right here. But I think you get the idea of where we're going with this. We're getting pretty close to just being ready for paint. I've got a lot of these little greebly piece set up here. Got our radar dish here. I've got the deflector stands done. Just have to glue the shield generators on those. I got the pipe. That pipe's is in the paint booth. This one is going to be painted in place. We've got, I struggled for a long time trying to figure out what my holographic emitter was going to look like. And what I ended up doing with that, I took one of my failed shield generator prints. It stopped like this, so this was flat. So I ended up taking some of my scratch building pieces from DS9. This is one of the DS9 section pieces, and gluing it on the front there, putting like a radar dish on top of it, and it looks all sci-fi now. That's in the paint booth as well. So what we're going to end up doing is getting this orientation glued in. Going to get something glued here and here, and then we're actually going to have to put our base coat on there, and at some point we're going to have to figure out wiring the electronics. I mean, I can't paint it. I don't want to paint it with the light in there for obvious reasons. This little shadow, bit of a shadow, kind of concerns me, but that shadow may not be there. And like I said, I may end up doing top plates like this as well. These are all little things we're going to have to play with. Just decide what it's going to look like. How much light we're going to need. Is that going to be enough? Is that too much? Am I going to have to dial back the voltage so that, because right now it's going to be getting 12 volts. Maybe I can just pump 9 volts through it, and that'll be just enough to bring this out. Because you want this to showcase, but you want that to be, our launch bay to be the focus. This is enhancing that. And like I said, there's got to be some kind of doorway to make you think there's more going on behind this area. This is how you get in the living quarters, and you know, the mess hall, the gymnasium, everything, whatever you need for this base is going to be behind that door. So we have to design that door too. So anywho, I think that's a lot. We got a lot more. I keep saying we got a lot more done than I thought we were going to get done. And when I especially don't think I'm going to get that much done. So this is that point, the point at which I get to say to you, go build something. I'm having a whole lot of fun with this. I hope you're enjoying this too. We're going to continue on. And next week we're going to have even more to show you on this. I don't know how far we're going to get. We still have a few decisions to make, but we're going to get it done. So until then, have fun, be safe, and go build something. Pew 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 pew.